I'm John Duarte with Duarte Nursery. We're in Houston, California. We've been here since 1989. So we're 27 years at this company and about 40 years that my family's been in the nursery business specifically.
I'm Bill Berryhill, and I'm a fourth generation grape grower here in the Central Valley, and served in the state legislature for 4 years.
And I'm Triana Berryhill, and I help and farm.
I'm Sean Crook. I'm the current president in Tuolumne County Farm Bureau.
So I'm Brad Gehring. I'm a fourth generation wine grape grower from the Lodi area, and we've been growing grapes since the early 1900s here.
I'm Michael France, and my brother and I own and operate France Wholesale Nursery. We're located here in Hickman along the Tuolumne River.
My family's farmed on this property in Houston, California since 1908. So I'm a fourth generation California farmer. We serve about 3,000 customers up and down the state in any given year. We're one of the biggest companies at what we do. We've invested a lot of money in sustainable growing systems, both within our own nursery practices, but also giving farmers rootstocks and genetics and product formats. As California's faced a drought and faced constrained water resources going forward, we're trying to enable California farmers to use saltier water, to use lower quality ground, and still produce the kinds of abundance of fruits and nuts that the world's come to expect from us. So we're real proud of what we do in California agriculture. One of our big differentiators in terms of sustainability has been our shifting our entire nursery production to containerized growing systems. One of the big sustainability issues that nurseries face is the use of methyl bromide as a soil fumigant for nursery fields. We've bypassed that entire problem by changing our production system to going to containerized growing. My family has a big commitment to sustainability. We farm wine grapes up in Lodi, El Dorado County, and locally here under the Lodi Rules Sustainable Certified Program. It was really a shock to us a couple of years ago when I was planting wheat up at a property we purchased in Tehama County, about 450 acres of rangeland that had been planted to wheat before. We received a call from the Army Corps of Engineers field agent asking us why we were deep ripping the ground prior to having the wetlands delineated by them and getting their permission basically. I informed them that we were tilling less than a foot deep and just planting wheat. A few weeks later, we got a cease and desist notice from the Army Corps of Engineers telling us we couldn't plant wheat, we couldn't continue farming our ground, and that we were in violation of wetlands law because we planted through some minor debits and dark spots in the grass to most people, which were actually, under their understandings, jurisdictional wetlands. Now these lands had all been planted back in the 70s and 80s, so wheat before, even tilled much deeper than we tilled them when we planted our wheat. Instead of answering our questions in our Freedom of Information Act request, they kicked us up to enforcement and told us to talk directly to Sacramento, never releasing us from the cease and desist notice. To this date, 3 years later, we still are not free to farm our land in Tehama County.
Our family's been farming since the early 1900s in this area. We've actually got some fifth generation now working in the business with us and a few more coming up behind them. Back in 2006, my dad was sitting on a tractor on my home ranch and got to the end of the row and there was a black Suburban on the public road. He was disking next to the public road. Black Suburban sitting there with blacked out windows, window rolls down, and the Suburban's packed full of guys, and they're asking questions where they can find me. So 3 days later, I get a letter from the Army Corps of Engineers formally charging me of filling and destroying waters of the U.S. And all we had simply done is disked our ground. And they hadn't been on the property. They hadn't had any evidence of anything. They just took a look from the road and charged us with that big charge. Now along with that came the possibility of jail, came the possibility of $100,000 a day fines, One day I'm minding my own business, and the next day I'm looking at losing everything I own and possibly being separated from my family by being put in jail. It wasn't by choice, it was by necessity then that I had to learn about what they were charging me with.
We're here with, for AgUnite, and I can certainly tell you from my perspective, from serving in Sacramento, the importance of a united agriculture, no matter what the fight is, whether it's waters of the U.S. rules at the federal level, or whether it's regulating our water supply here in California, our underground water, or regulations in general, from trucking to water to air, you name it. So yeah, it's really important for us as farmers to understand the importance of going to Sacramento, taking that time to make the drive to Sacramento to tell your story. You can tell it a lot better than your lobbyist or whoever you have advocating on your behalf up there. It's better, and believe me, I was on the other side of that desk as an assembly member. There's nothing more that touches the member more than hearing the real story from the person that's actually out in the fields. For example, we brought our workers up.
Well, now we're dealing with getting rid of the ag exemption for hours.
For overtime.
Now they want us, after 40 hours, they want us to pay overtime. But we talked to our employees, and they were like, "You mean we can't work, 50 hours a week?" I was like, "No, because we can't afford it, So they go, "Well, what can we do?" I said, "Well, we can go lobby." So we did. Bill took the guys, and they loved it. They felt so empowered that they could talk, and they could go, "You mean we can really go talk?" I said, "Yes, you tell your story. You tell them that you want to work more hours." And some of these legislators, they don't want to listen to their message because they have their agenda. And I think if we all can get involved and everybody take their employees, let them hear their real story.
And so we need to fill that capital once in a while. We need to get off our tractors. We can't look at our neighbor and say, "Are you going to Sacramento?" We need to get out and go ourselves. And so, to me, agriculture's best messenger is the farmers themselves. It's a multi-level fight, from education to advocacy in Sacramento. But it all starts with you, the individual, and being willing to stand up and fight for your way of life. And we all love agriculture, and we all recognize the importance of it not only to the U.S., but to the world.
Well, we're here on my grandfather's ranch in Jawbone, what we call it, and this is a piece of our private property that happened to burn in the rim fire in 2013. And what you're seeing behind us is where we harvested our merchantable timber after the fire, and where we've since replanted trees and we seeded our ground so that we wouldn't lose it to erosion. And what I really want you to see though here is the difference in the contrast between private property and the government property over to our south that hasn't been treated. The rules in California, they allow private landowners an emergency exemption to immediately come in after a wildfire and harvest their merchantable timber. No environmental laws are skirted or anything of that nature, but the timetable is sped up and we're allowed to treat our ground. Government ground, or the taxpayers, or the people's ground, they have to go through a full EIS, environmental impact statement, before they can do anything. And what we're seeing here is ground that they just never got to. They never were able to finish everything in time to treat it when the timber was still merchantable. So there it essentially is going to stand until it falls, and we're going to have that increased fuel load and threat of fire again. You can see some of our seedlings that are coming up, and we planted a wide array of ponderosa pines. Our forest is trying to come back, and our ground is trying to heal itself. And right across the fence line, the government has done nothing, and they don't have any trees coming back. I hope that one day that my great grandkids will be able to come out here and see a forest and get a glimpse of what I remember as a kid. But unfortunately, my two sons, they're never going to see it the way that it was.
For the last 6 years, I've spent my time not only operating the family farm, but also serving on the Turlock Irrigation District Board of Directors. Since 2009, the State Water Board has been working on a new flow proposal for the Tuolumne River to reallocate water that historically has been used by the TID and MID farmers and ratepayers to irrigate their fields. The proposal would require the Modesto and Turlock irrigation districts to release anywhere from 35 to 60% of the water that flows into the reservoir between February through June. The impacts are significant. Depending on the water year, it could require anywhere from 250,000 to up to 1 million additional acre-feet of water to be released down the river. This is water that historically has been put to work on our family farms. The Water Board's stated goal, the reason for the reallocation of water, is to improve the native fishery in the Tuolumne River. Our objection to this proposal is the State Water Board would have you believe that increased flows are the only solution to the problem. MID and TID have had a full-time fish biologist studying the Tuolumne River for over 40 years. We know a lot about the Tuolumne River. Our experts tell us that eliminating predation, eliminating non-native predators in the Tuolumne River is the single best thing we could do to improve the native fish populations. I too want to see more salmon in the Tuolumne River, but let's get there by eliminating the predators and improving the natural habitat in the river.
Right now, I think the Forest Service, they act based on fear. They're afraid that they're going to get sued by the environmentalists, and that's how they dictate their actions. Well, we need to turn that around. We need to be just as strong. They need to be afraid that they're going to get sued by the other side if they don't act.
Everyone in agriculture is in agriculture because they do whatever it is they do best. They know how to take care of their families. They know how to take care of their land. They know what serves their communities. We know how to run our businesses better than anybody else.
If the State Water Board gets away with doing this to our river, it could happen to any river and all rivers in the state of California. But we need you to stay informed and be ready to help. This is not just the irrigation district's fight, it's all of our fight.
There's something happening to your crops right now, and you need to not think twice about it, just the same as you would apply a fungicide or do whatever you need to do to protect your crops. We need to protect our farms. We need to protect our farms from bad legislation that's happening. We need to get together.
These issues none of these issues are going to go away. We have to continue to be vigilant.
We need to continue fighting, and we need to unite as an industry.
Water is being used to divide friends and neighbors, but we all have to stand together. AgUnite.
And that's why we need you, and we need your support. We'll hope you all unite for agriculture. AgUnite.
We have to pull together and answer these challenges that are put upon us by people who simply think they know what to do with our businesses better than we know what to do with our businesses. AgUnite.
We need to speak with one voice in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., and that means getting off your tractor. We need AgUnite.
We need to have each other's backs. AgUnite.